What happens when a group of paranormal investigators start a conversation? You get Ghost of the Coast Paranormal, the podcast, tales of the dead, the bizarre, and all things supernatural. Join us now as we discuss the legend of the Skinwalker. Hello, and welcome back to Ghost of the Coast Paranormal, the podcast. I'm Erin.
I'm Linnea.
I'm Deborah.
And today we are going to dive into the legend of the Skinwalkers. Fact or fiction? Who knows? How are you guys doing today?
Doing good. How about you?
Doing well. I'm ready to dive into the Skinwalkers. And in fact, it's your week this week.
It is my week.
Why did you choose this topic?
It's interesting. It's always been interesting.
Yeah. It's definitely a very interesting.
Every grandmother, I think, has something that they threaten the children with. My mom Luce, which is my daddy's mama, she used to threaten us with skinwalkers.
So what would she say exactly?
You better behave or the skinwalkers will get you.
So that's what she called it. She didn't have a nickname or
that would be so terrifying. Be like, I'm gonna send you out there, get you a switch. Watch out for the skinwalkers.
She would try to say Yandel Lucy, but she couldn't. So it was just simply skinwalkers.
So was there a story that went with it?
That it was very taboo subject in the native community. It's something you don't really discuss. And that's the only time I ever heard her mention it. You better behave or the skinwalkers are going to get you. That's it.
That's so scary.
As a child, your mind just runs rampant.
Right.
You think all these things and you see all these things in your mind. And for a long time, I figured something was going to come in the dark and snatch my skin off.
Oh, geez.
Which kind of, sort of goes with what a skinwalker is. But, as a child, everything's amplified.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Your mind just...
Oh, yeah.
So, needless to say, we would calm down a little bit when she'd tell us that.
Yeah, I can imagine. That would just be terrifying. Skinwalkers are going to get you. Be like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a good thought.
No.
Yeah,
No.
A good thought.
I bet you slept with the sheets right up to your
Girl, sleep.
There won't no sleeping after that threat.
Mm-mm.
Oh, goodness. So what you got for us today?
So I done a little bit of digging. Tried to find what I could on it. The origins of the Skinwalker legend in North America are thought to come back to the Navajo tribe. They refer to them as Yandolushi, meaning by means of trotting like a canine.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting up an upright dog, maybe.
Could you imagine Blanche walking on her back two legs?
The Navajo people believe skinwalkers are individuals who possess the ability to shapeshift into animals, usually at night, and inflict harm on others.
So is it always an animal?
No.
Okay.
Despite being primarily associated with Navajo culture, the Skinwalker legend is present in several other Native American tribes, each with their own interpretation of the supernatural creature. But be warned. Speaking openly about skinwalkers is considered taboo in Native American communities, as it's believed to attract their attention and bring harm.
What?
Some things you don't want to speak into existence.
I got some sage I'll be running through here after this episode.
That has given these supernatural creatures an air of even greater mystery, as information on them is as elusive as the skinwalkers themselves.
Elusive.
Mm-hmm.
According to Legends of America, there are many theories of what the mysterious skinwalker is, but its origins in Native American legend paint the picture of a malevolent... Did I say that right?
Malevolent. Malevolent.
Malevolent. Thank you. My tongue don't want to cooperate on certain words. Shape-shifting witch with supernatural power. Navajo stories, for instance, say that a person becomes a skinwalker by committing a heinous act, like taking a family member's life.
I've heard about that.
This terrible crime allows the witch to take the form of an animal at will or by wearing the skin of a specific creature, hence the name Skinwalker.
So it's typically always a human who becomes
Yes.
via curse or whatever. They have to do something.
Yes.
Okay.
So, with that thought, it took me back to, oh my gosh, what is the name of the movie?
Well, how long ago was that?
You got to give us a hint.
Probably 20 years ago. Helen Hunt played a reporter. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Helen Hunt.
Yep, her character's name was Clarice.
Oh, Jodie
Oh.
Foster. And
Jodie Foster,
Silence
yes.
of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. That what was the guy's name? Wild Bill, the one that was collecting the people's skin and sewing the.
Slow motion.
Well, that's actually based on a true story, but that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother podcast episode.
Though the legend has similarities among several Native American tribes in that the skinwalker is characterized as a harmful, evil witch, there are some differences in the specific beliefs about these beings. Some tribes describe skinwalkers as Navajo witches who have decided to use their powers for evil, while others may see the act of shapeshifting as a tool. Often they are associated with canines, typically a coyote, but sometimes a wolf.
Okay.
I could see where shapeshifting would be helpful.
I mean, I guess I could too.
I keep thinking about Sam from True Blood.
Yeah, that's all I can think about. Sam from True Blood. But yeah, I could see where it could be a helpful tool to have. I mean, bank robbery, for instance. You can go in and, I mean, that's not helpful. Do not rob a bank.
Don't rob a bank.
But like if you wanted to win, like get some money, you just shape shift into the manager of the bank. Although if they can only do it in animal form, then never mind. Unless you're looking for unless you're a shape shifting dog looking for a companion.
It would be good for like a PI.
Yeah.
Trot right up under their nose and find out what you need to find out.
You can be a bunny rabbit and just hopping through and be like, ooh.
Be a cat, rub up on their legs. Meow. Say it again. Say it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. When I see a lot of the images and it's what's stuck in my head now, it kind of doesn't look like any real identifiable animal.
No, it's almost like a knot deer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Or
that being said, you really couldn't use it to spy or anything because it doesn't have normal. You see it and you're going to run no matter what.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely the whole theory behind skinwalkers is very, very interesting to me. I mean, the fact that they are native witches or practitioners of dark per magic, and then so what, I guess did they want to conjure this? Is that why they decided to take that person's life so that they could turn into this creature? And then is this creature a super powerful being that once you obtain its powers, you have hit the limit of magic? Like you were here
At
and
the
now
top
you're
of the
here.
top.
Yeah.
But do they intend to become this? Because it sounds like sometimes it's just this person has done something so bad that it's more like a curse.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not something they were trying to achieve, but a punishment.
That could be.
Both.
Yeah, that could be. Well, what if so obviously this lore is mostly in native cultures.
Mhm.
But what if, like on the East Coast, we have, the knot deer?
Yeah.
Are they one and the same? Are they the same as a Wendigo? Who knows?
So when I was doing my research, I like the movies. So I went to go look for movies, and I think one of the movies was called like Skinwalker or something, The Wendigo, or you know what I mean? Like, so it did make it sound like some of the other things were all
Kind of blend
combined.
together.
And yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's such an interesting subject, and it's interesting that they always choose animals. Like, I think if I had this ability to be a shapeshifter, I would not choose an animal
Maybe it's because an animal is.
less than a human.
Maybe it's because of the innocence of an animal.
So they want to kind of draw you in, and
It's not cute. It's not drawing me in.
yeah, no.
Well, no, that's not. But I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's easy to take over
Right.
an animal
Right.
because they are loving, they are forgiving.
Well, it may just be that an animal doesn't have the, like, people have, morals and ethics and things that an animal may not have. So maybe it can't get through.
So, do you think that a skinwalker is somebody that, so they commit this crime, they get this curse placed on them? Do you think then that their soul is physically in this body of this animal, or do you think that they are able to come and go out of this animal as they please?
I think they can come in and out.
Yeah, I would think come and
Yeah.
go. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's just
Because hasn't it been the case that when people have seen videos where it shows kind of a human going down, right?
yeah.
So
So
they
you think
must be able to
that's
go back and
like
forth.
a what's that, animagus from Harry Potter?
I don't know what that is.
You don't know what Harry Potter is?
I know what Harry Potter is. Dope.
You're killing me,
I have to ask
Smalls.
one of my kids. I know nothing about Harry Potter.
Oh gosh.
Nothing?
Mm-mm.
I know a little bit.
It's
I'm
the
not
greatest franchise of my time.
Okay, well, we're a little older than you.
Smidgen.
Just a smidge.
Smidgen.
So were you able to find any encounters on your research of people who had run-ins with?
I did, but I didn't save it.
Oh
Did
no.
you look on the TikTok?
No, I didn't
Always
go
go
to
to the
the TikTok.
TikTok.
I didn't go to
Always
the
go to
TikTok.
TikTok. Well, good for you that I did find some and save them. So I got you. So all of these encounters, there's quite a few of them, but they do come from cvltnation.com. And the first one goes as follows. My grandmother on my mother's side has always been very superstitious, for lack of a better word. She's not religious, but she does believe in a lot of paranormal stuff. Her mother was full-blooded Navajo, and her father was Irish. Either way, she had never been anywhere east of Montana, and she grew up in Nevada. One year I was in grade school when we went to visit her. Most of the visit was pretty uneventful, typically boring old people stuff. Except she always kept her curtains drawn shut and would always peek out the window when someone asked what she was doing. She would reply, "Yin, know,
Yandalushi.
yin." Say it again.
Yin.
Yinaldalushi.
Yeah, that. Mm-hmm.
Yinaldalushi is watching me. Um, this went on for nearly the entire visit until a few days before we were due to leave. My grandmother and my then baby brother, he's 19 now, were in the front yard that evening planting flowers when all of a sudden my grandmother starts shouting insert little brother's name here. Get away from that creature. It's not safe. Of course, being in Nevada, we all assumed that my brother had found a scorpion or a rattlesnake. So we all run outside to see my grandmother clutching my little brother and shaking in terror against the side of the house. Standing out in the yard was a large, black, Great Dane sized dog. It was staring at my grandmother with an intensity I had never seen before. It looked up at us, gave a huff, and bounded off. I don't remember if it moved unusually fast or not, but I do remember it had really deep yellow eyes. When my mother asked my grandmother what happened, she kept repeating, "The Yindalushi has found me," and she moved a couple weeks later.
That's serious.
Yeah.
So yellow eyes, that's interesting. I thought I had read that they typically had red eyes.
Yeah, I mean, I think any eyes other than a normal
Right.
was, you know, I think it would throw somebody off for sure.
So this is Nevada area. So have either of you come across, like, are there certain areas that seem to be more active for skinwalker sightings?
Midwest.
Midwest.
Yeah, Midwest and the West, like
Mhm.
the Rockies and places like that, I think would be most active.
Now, is that because there was more of those Indian tribes in that area at some point, or?
Yeah, probably. And there's
My
probably there's probably activity. There's probably skinwalkers all across the world.
Right.
Yeah.
But and as a human race, we kind of suck at like containing like our stories, like writing stuff down. But the different tribes were amazing with that. How many stories have been passed down from generation to generation and so on and so forth. And, for all we know, this story could have started with this woman was accused of practicing dark magic. She was kicked out of the tribe. And then, kind of like the Grinch, the Jim Carrey Grinch, where the kids go up to the mountain.
Right.
But there's all these different stories like, oh, I hear that he eats dogs for breakfast. So it probably started out as something where she just got kicked out for practicing magic, and then it probably just evolved then.
Well, and one thing about the native versus every other culture, they are a born troubadour. They want their stories told,
Yeah.
and they are it's very important to them to pass down their history to each generation.
Right. Now it also, so she saw it and she was able to get away from it. It didn't sound like it actually tried to attack. Have you come across any stories where somebody's actually attacked, not just somebody sees?
I have not.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't. But I mean, yeah, you would think that. I mean, what is their purpose if not to attack? Like, so they started this journey by killing somebody. So, but then what? What is their purpose?
Well, you need to find out. I mean, if it's purely just a curse for what they did, I mean, it might just be punishment having to be this
Creature.
Yeah. I mean, that nobody wants to be around.
Go back up to this picture here. This was something I had thought about earlier.
Okay.
We'll
have to put this picture up so they can see.
They would hunt not only for food but for clothing, and they would use the fur of the animal for coats to keep warm in the wintertime. Almost makes you wonder if that might be where it's all stemmed from.
Somebody saw somebody out hunting.
Yep.
And was like, oh no.
Because they would leave the head and everything there, to cover their head.
Yeah.
So if you see something like that from a distance, I mean, it would kind of freak you out, or it would me.
Yeah, but is it something that they're just so used to?
Yeah.
Could be.
Well, this actually says from history.com or history.co.uk says, so according to some traditions, skinwalkers were once healers and medicine men who were corrupted by their own power and turned evil.
So again, it's a punishment.
Yeah, often compared to the Sith Lords of Star Wars. um, I mean, and why do y'all think that it's such a taboo subject for people to talk about?
Because you're not supposed to talk about bad things.
You're supposed to bring bad things into the yeah. I mean, what if it did start as like a threat from a grandmother?
Mm-hmm. Could have.
And just like
Hey, if somebody's grandma didn't start it, mine sure would have.
built up and carried on. So this actually also says that in some Algonquin tribes, they are known as Wendigos.
So it is the same thing.
Yeah, so it would be pretty much the same thing. So the original lore describes Wendigos as giant, emaciated humanoids, often freezing cold and driven by an appetite for human flesh. Widely thought Wendigos were grotesque manifestations or symbols of the harsh winters and lack of food, which many tribes people had to endure. There was even an early psychiatric condition dubbed as Wendigo psychosis, describing people of the Algonquin regions who were seized by cannibalistic compulsions. That's interesting.
That doesn't really sound the same because even that's more like humanoid. It's not talking about animal like.
Yeah. Jesus, that's terrifying.
That just looks like an American Horror Story kind of thing. So it does not look like the same kind of thing at all.
No, I would not put those two in the same category. I don't think. Let's see. I do have another encounter.
All right, let's hear it.
So, hold on. I was spending a month with my cousin. This also comes from the same website as the first one, cvltnation.com. I was spending a month with my cousins at my grandma's house. It was August, and my cousins' age ranged from 10 to 15. I was the oldest, being 15. I was staying with a 10, 13, and 14-year-old. We stayed up telling scary stories often, but one night, a few weeks in, we decided to make a campfire out back.
Hold on just a minute. Are they after grandmas? Because it seems that grandma, you see what I'm saying? The first one was at grandma's house. This one's at grandma's house.
Mad that grandma keeps talking about them.
They're mad that grandma keeps threatening the grandkids. One night, a few weeks in, we decided to make a campfire out back. My grandma's house is in a rural suburb. The neighbors aren't too far when you're driving down the road to her house, but in the backyard, it's thick forest with man-made paths through it. Each house is on a hill, so only part of the basement was actually underground. That isn't important until later, though. So we're towards the east side of her yard, in the smallest patch of open land. Blanche. I don't know if y'all can see Blanche, but she's trying to be the star of the show today. She's all about.
Sit down, though.
She's all about being up in people's personal space. So we're towards the east side of her yard in the smallest patch of open land. You couldn't see the neighboring yards from there, and there was probably 3/4 of a mile to each side of us that belonged to my grandmother. It was maybe 11 at night, and we were playing Truth or Dare after telling scary stories. And my 14-year-old cousin dared me and the 13-year-old to go walk through the paths for 10 minutes or so. First of all, I'm not walking through the woods at night.
Didn't you play Manhunt when you were younger? We used
to
go in the woods.
Well, we used to go in the woods. We would go camp out down at the creek, and my dad would come through the woods and try and scare us.
See, I'm smart enough to know I'm not afraid of the dark.
It's
I'm
what's
afraid of what's in the
what's in the
dark.
dark. I said yes right away, as I wasn't easily scared and rather level headed, but my younger cousin was a bit more hesitant. We didn't bring a flashlight because it wasn't pitch dark yet. 11 o'clock at night? It's not pitch dark yet?
Might have been full moon.
Oh, it might have been, yeah. Um, and we could see enough not to not die. We were walking through the paths for about 5 minutes and could barely see the fire through the trees. Then we decided to turn in the middle of the path. We decided to turn, and in the middle of the path was a large dog like creature, hunched over with its front hands an inch from the ground.
Okay, so not completely on all four.
No.
Okay.
Kind of sounds bipedal for sure. What I remember most was how its eyes were so bright white. So another
Now we have white and yellow.
and red.
Okay.
It was a humanoid dog shape with a human-like head, but a dog-like body, but human hands and feet. It looked right at us, and I know I was paralyzed with fear as it dashed away the opposite way of us, towards the creek that ran through the yard. Eventually, my cousin and I screamed bloody murder, and the other cousins and my grandma ran to us. I don't remember much here because I was really disoriented and I couldn't think properly, but I did wake up in bed, so I assumed that I was brought up to the house. All the kids slept in the basement, in a big room with sliding glass doors to the outside. As the room was on the side that wasn't underground, my bed was pressed against a big glass window. Nope. No, thank you. Um, and I could see my cousins playing outside down below. The house in, the house is in Michigan, so it gets slightly chilly even at the end of August. There was a slight breeze, so I put on a jacket and ran to join them outside, skipping breakfast, not wanting to miss out on anything fun. When I got down, I could tell they weren't playing, but rather running to get my grandma. Her dogs, both of them, were dead, ripped up.
Mm.
That night, we went to bed early, and I woke up at maybe 2 in the morning because I felt something hit my head. My cousins were sitting on the double bed opposite me on the other side of the room. There was one bunk bed and two double beds. The double beds for me and my 14-year-old cousin, they were being quiet and staring at me. The 13-year-old nodded his head towards the window and I froze. They all looked afraid. I turned my head slightly to the side to see and saw a really messed up looking face pressed against the window with gaping eyes looking down at me. I screamed so loud and it bolted. My grandma called the police after I told her what happened, and they found nothing. I went home after that and have never been there during the night again.
I don't think they're restricted tonight, so go in there during the day.
Yeah.
Don't know if I'd went back.
No. Well, this being said, do you guys think that if you spot a skinwalker or if they see you, do you think that kind of attracts them in and they're going to continue kind of like black eyed kids? Like if you have one experience with them, chances are you're going to have multiple experiences.
I don't know. I haven't read anything on that.
So do you
Maybe feeding on fear.
feeding on fear? So did you guys know too? I've kind of like taken over your episode. I'm so
Hey,
sorry.
it's good. Don't mind.
I'm like, yes, let's get. Did you guys know that with skinwalkers comes supposedly comes they get like these like crazy powers. So they get like telepathy.
Okay.
So
Now, is
from
that only when they're in that form? If they go back to the human form, does it stay?
I'm not sure. Let's see what we can find.
All right.
So according to fandom.com, fandom.com is great because it lists everything out. Um, so skinwalkers are telepathically linked with each other, enhancing their coordination during hunts and fights, but allowing little to no privacy at any time.
It's like the wolves in Twilight.
Pretty much. But it's like a constant thing, it
Right.
sounds like. Um, so they can read other humans' minds and control them. And they, from two different, skinwalkers from two different groups, so I'm wondering if that means like two different tribes, can communicate telepathically and are able to choose which thoughts they want to share with the other group.
So that might be like the Skinwalker and the Wendigo.
Yeah. Voice mimicry is also a thing with them.
See, that would really bother me.
That would bother me as well. I mean, especially considering that I've heard a mimic before, and that it didn't freak me out, but I was just like taken aback by it. But voice mimicry, because I mean, you're out in the woods and you hear, your
Deborah calling you.
You hear Deborah calling, or your husband calling you, and your first instinct, the voice.
To it.
Maybe.
So you want to go to it. But they can, they can also copy animal sounds, because their goal is to lure.
Right, so it could be acting like an injured animal.
Yeah.
They want to lure you in, basically to eat your skin.
But yet we still haven't read anything about anybody actually being attacked.
True. But if they were attacked, would they be able to write a story?
So do you think there's good skinwalkers and bad skinwalkers, and maybe some of these people are coming across ones that are not evil skinwalkers?
I don't know, because I mean the lore itself is in order to become a skinwalker, they have to commit a crime, like a heinous crime.
But you said also that sometimes healers kind of just went astray. They didn't kill anybody. They just got greedy, or
well, heinous crime don't necessarily mean murder.
Let's come back to the good bad thing in a little bit.
Yeah.
Finish telling us about their powers.
Mind possession.
Don't like that.
So don't look in the eyes.
So you have to look in the eyes for that.
Yeah, don't look in the eyes.
But now you're going to want to look in their eyes.
He'll look at me sometimes.
And he'll hypnotize you.
He tries.
He'll possess your mind. Magic. They can use charms to control and kill their victims. Superhuman strength.
That we could have guessed.
Superhuman speed. Good God, could y'all imagine you're in the woods and you see this thing barreling towards you, and you're like, what is that? Because you can't really tell. Is it a dog? Is it a human?
It wouldn't matter. I'd have to just, Jesus take me now, because I got long legs. They ain't worth nothing. I can't run.
Think of how many people go missing in state parks and whatnot.
A lot. There's actually, isn't there like a website for that? There. I think I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
That's why I don't run.
We'll probably touch on that. Like, that's a topic that I would like to do eventually. Superhuman agility. So they can move, jump, climb, and run incredibly fast without difficulty or exhaustion. Thank God I am not a skinwalker, because I would be tired after the first couple of runs.
Look, if y'all see me running, don't ask no questions. Just follow in behind me.
Follow suit.
Okay?
Superhuman durability. So bodily tissues are much harder and more resistant to physical injury than those of an ordinary human. Their bodies are able to withstand great impact forces and blunt trauma that would severely injure or kill a normal human.
Wow.
They're not like zombies. You can't just take to the brain. Longevity. They have a slow aging process and can live longer than normal humans.
Is there a range?
No. But could you imagine if, like, there's skinwalkers that are like 400 years old?
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, what if they're kind of as old as the origin?
Yeah. Like the OG Skinwalkers still walking around like, I need human flesh today. Let me get with the times and modernize. Uber Eats. Healing factors. They can heal and regenerate very quickly.
Heal themselves, or can they heal others?
Heal themselves. While not invincible, these capabilities allow them to continue battling even after serious injury. In some cases, however, the accelerated healing can be detrimental. So basically, like, chop off its leg and it'll be like Deadpool with the tiny baby hands and little baby feet. So you guys might be asking, do they have any weaknesses at all?
Yeah, I'm curious.
So it is virtually impossible to kill a skinwalker, even in human form. However, there are some magical ways that you can protect yourself, I guess, so that they can't find you, and magical ways to ultimately kill them.
Does it tell you what those are?
Nope, they said figure it out. Figure it out for yourself. They said you're on your own. We're not going to tell you what to do.
So they're kind of like what we have around here called cow killers.
What's that?
Oh, please tell us, because I have never heard that.
You've never heard of a cow killer? It's they're called cow ants, but they look like a giant ant, and they're like a reddish orange and black stripe. You can't hardly kill them things for nothing in the world. But you know if one's got a hold of you and bit you.
Do they sting like the fire ants?
Yes, my God.
Oh,
It's worse than
I think I've seen one.
They're big.
Yeah.
They're big.
I think I saw one by my front door on the brick.
It's possible.
I want to look at this. Oh, yes, I've seen those before. That right there?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I've seen those. And I've gotten, one of them has got a hold of me before, and it hurt.
You don't forget it.
Yep, I remember that. So another thing that is a weakness for skinwalkers is a bullet dipped in white ash. So I'm assuming that the white ash, which is a tree, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has some sort of medicinal, magical properties behind it. That I guess spreads throughout their being.
I'm sure it's super easy to get it, right?
White ash?
I mean, well, sure. I mean, are you walking around with white ash? Like when you come across a skinwalker, I don't think you're expecting it.
No, yeah. I'd be
Unless
like,
you
hold
kinda
on, let
want
me
them.
chop this tree down.
Yeah, let me
Well,
burn it up.
that wouldn't have been relevant in the pre-gun era.
Yeah, no, and they didn't have. I mean,
Well,
at that point, did they just like throw white ash at them and be like, get out of here?
And on Deborah's point, pre-gun era, does it say like a year that skinwalkers kind of are first discovered, seen?
I never saw anything like
I
that.
don't think I did either. Native American boogeyman.
Ooh. RiverCityGhost.com. Let's see. Helpers of the divine beings is what they were at one point. The Naglashi were agents of holy people when they were first training humans in the blessing way. Naglashi were supposed to abandon the mortal world with the holy people, but a few decided, good God, I can't read today, I'm sorry. But a few decided to stay behind. Their greed and desire to stay in the mortal plane corrupted the power the holy people gave them and transformed them into malicious, semi-divine beings.
That's completely different than killing a family member.
Yeah. I mean, there is, they also say that there was a medicine man that became evil because he abused magic for evil, and corrupted the natural order of things. And then in other traditions, a man A person, man, woman, or child, becomes a skinwalker when they perform any kind of deep-seated taboo similar to the Wendigo curse. So that follows along with the killing of somebody, murder.
No
Murder.
time, huh?
No time. How to kill a skinwalker. So traditions state a bullet, a knife, or a spear dipped in white ash might be able to kill might be able to kill a skinwalker.
Right.
I love this quote. So this quote is just like Voldemort, the fight in Fight Club, you do not talk about skinwalkers. Putting my neck on the line just by writing about them, talking about them.
Are you saying we need to sage after the show now?
We might have to. Widespread belief in tribal customs warns that talking about wicked beings is not only bad luck, but somehow
Job, Deborah.
somehow calls them out and makes their appearance more than likely. Think Beetlejuice.
Awesome.
Beetlejuice.
Boo. Yeah, we might open
Sorry, guys.
opened up a can of worms.
Well, it's been a while since we've had a good sage, and we're due one.
We're due one, yeah.
Unless we can do a little Kinoko too.
Yep. That's interesting. Skinwalker Ranch. We talked about this briefly last week. Yeah, I want to go on a trip to this place.
Yeah.
Cattle mutilations, crop circles, and UFO sightings at least once a week.
I cannot believe it's cursed though.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I
think there's something in there that's attracting these things.
Yeah. So RiverCityGhost.com says, quote, Terry Sherman, the owner of the property way back in 1996, was walking his dog around the farm late one night, and when he came upon a wolf. The wolf, 3 times the size of a normal lupin. Harry Potter reference just clicked. Oh my goodness. Okay. Anyway, Professor Lupin. Does that mean dog? I mean, does Lupin mean dog?
I think it means wolf.
Wolf. Well, that would make sense because he was a werewolf. Anyway, back on track, squirrel. With glowing red eyes. Okay. A wolf 3 times the size of a normal lupin with glowing red eyes and a mean streak. Terry shot the thing with a rifle at close range, like throwing pebbles at Wolverine's skeleton.
So here we have red eyes.
So red, yellow,
and
white. Do those colors signify anything different, or?
So, on Reddit.com, somebody posted, I've heard of many stories of skinwalker-like entities, and one detail that stands out often is the eye color. Many descriptions say that they have glowing red, yellow, or orange eyes, and one story I listened to on YouTube said that the skinwalker had pitch black eyes. On forums and discussion boards about skinwalkers, I've seen comments that good skinwalkers have white or clear eyes. And then there's some responses. The first person says, as for the different eye colors, I'm not sure, but I've read some really great posts in this sub from people who really know what they're talking about, where they reference the kind of creatures they can turn into, and certain creatures mean they are more powerful than others. I believe they said that the most powerful can turn into wolf, coyote, and less powerful can turn into deer and other animals. I forget which ones. And then another comment states, I think Wendigos have black eyes and skinwalkers have red, yellow, white eyes. That's the difference. Whether that's true,
Wendigos have black eyes and skinwalkers have red, yellow, and white.
And it sounds like that may actually have to do with how powerful they are. So maybe it's like an older creature, or I'm not really
They level up each time. Every 100 years they level up.
Whether that's true, I don't know, but
yeah, I mean, definitely, it's definitely interesting. I don't know. I want to go to Skinwalker Ranch. I mean, I think that would be a cool trip, if anything, just to see UFOs. But
I'll hold down the home front.
she's like, I've talked about it once and
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Mm-mm.
Never have to talk to it or experience it again.
Now I know why the natives didn't talk about it.
I don't know. I'm gonna be a little scared taking dogs out tonight.
Mm.
You know, out in
Yeah.
the country.
If you hear anything that mimics something, then turn them. Be like, you're gonna have to hold it. You're gonna have to
Or
hold
some
But
of
how
these
do we
things
know
with
it's
the podcast.
mimicking?
it. Be like, there's a password.
It's gonna be Gianna's voice.
Yeah. And be like, nope. That's a skinwalker right there. Yeah, nope. Turn and walk the other way, because no telling what they'll do. Freaky things. Good gracious. Those things are freaky.
That's just, ugh.
Now, did you come across any actual video or photo that you thought was interesting in your research?
I didn't, did you?
I didn't. What'd you find?
I watched a couple different things.
Mhm.
Of course, I didn't bring my laptop today, but I'm sure we can. You know, you can kind of see it. It's almost like some of the other things we talked about, where the images are kind of distorted.
Yeah.
All right, so we have scoured the TikTok again, because, again, that's where you go to find
Real true facts.
real true facts.
We hit the Google too.
Oh yeah, we did hit the Google. But we didn't really see anything that stood out to us.
Nothing worth mentioning.
Nothing worth mentioning.
If you have something or know something, send it to
Send
us.
it to us.
Let us know. But yeah, I think. See, and that's the thing with Skinwalkers, is it's such a, with anything paranormal, it's such a mystery.
Mm-hmm.
And we could sit up here and talk about it for an hour and still only just scratch the surface.
Oh,
And we are.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
It's on the job research right here. But yeah, I think. I mean, I hope to eventually, maybe we can come back and cover this again, if we can find any like newer, more recent encounters and more facts about Skinwalkers.
Why don't we put a post on our social media, like a little questionnaire, trying to gather some.
What do you know about Skinwalkers?
Just like put a little survey together.
Yeah.
We'll get
Yeah.
some feedback on what other people think, believe, have read.
Or have happened. Skinwalker.
Skinwalkers in my house. Yeah, we can definitely do that. We can definitely put out a survey. We definitely want to start interacting with our followers more, and like we said last week, we're almost to 1,000 on our Facebook.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to hit that number and beyond. But the more followers we get on our different socials, the more often we'll be able to bring this content to you, because we'll start showing up in suggested feeds.
Mm-hmm.
Write us a good review. Get us
Good
going.
review, get us going.
Please and thank you.
Yes. But yeah, this is episode 4.
Yeah.
It feels like we just started last week.
I know.
I had to count them today.
Yeah.
Wait, which one is this?
This is episode 4 coming out. Well, it'll already be out when you're listening to it. But yeah, thank you for joining us today. And next time, I think we have. I think we're going to try and have a special guest next week.
Let's not give away too much.
Nope, not giving it away. But y'all got anything else?
No, I don't. I'm good.
I think I'm good.
More
Don't
confusion.
let skinwalkers get you.
Don't let
Don't
them
talk about them.
Don't
Leave it alone.
And we're gonna sage.
Yep. All right. Well, that's all for now. And until next week, y'all come back now, you hear?